Hi, welcome back to the GNAT TV News Project. I'm Andrew McKeever. Wanted to wrap up a few of the week's events for you and also bring you up to speed on what's coming up ahead shortly. Here in Sunderland, it was announced earlier this week that the state environmental conservation folks will be down here to test for possible PFOA contamination at the Sunderland Landfill. We want to emphasize that this is a purely precautionary measure. There has been no evidence found of any PFOA contamination in the groundwater underneath the landfill. They just want to make sure about that though, and so therefore testing will be getting underway in a few weeks, we understand, to test for that possible PFOA contamination, which, as many of you know, was found earlier this year in drinking water in North Bennington and also in Hoosick Falls, New York. So we'll be watching that closely to see if there's anything more to be added there. Also, just wanted to bring you up to speed on where the Act 46 North Shore Merger Study Committee is at these days. As many of you know, the committee has been meeting for the past couple of months, trying to hammer out some kind of an agreement to bring to all the various towns in the district. They've been talking about whether or not to establish themselves as a supervisory district, as it's called, or to be part of a supervisory union. There is an important governance distinction there between the two. A supervisory district would be the one consolidated school board that many of us have heard about, and each town would have representation on that one school board. Supervisory union situation is slightly different, more like the one we have at present, where that North Shire group would be part of a larger entity. Also, public forums are in the works. They're going to be hopefully being held in coming weeks and months in the various towns, so people will be able to hear more about all of that. They've also settled on 13 as the ideal number of board members on the school district, should that come to be. And the next meeting for the North Shire Merger Study Committee will be held on September 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Manchester Elementary School. Coming up next week, on Tuesday, September 13th, at the Equinox Resort, will be the summit meeting that members of the Shire's Marketing Committee and the Bennington Area Chamber of Commerce, along with other folks from the Manchester and North Shire and the mountains area, are interested to hammer out some kind of follow-up to the Manchester Chamber of Commerce, which of course, as we all know, folded earlier this spring. The idea is to have a group of folks in, and this is by invitation only, it's not a public meeting, to talk about what are the possible alternatives for a business organization for this area and perhaps for the entire region. Earlier this week, we had several of the principal leaders of this initiative that have been involved in setting up the summit meeting here at the studio, and we had an interesting little roundtable discussion about some of the issues involved in that. And we'd like to go to the tape right now and show you a clip from that meeting, which you can see in its entirety at another time. Is that sort of roughly in line with what you've been hearing down south, Ben?
Yeah, and let me piggyback on what Linda's talking about. I take a little bit of a contrarian view, I think, in the sense that I view my role and the Chamber's role to be the leadership arm that's driving people to perhaps think differently. So yes, we listen to what members are looking for, what they want to do, but I also think on a contrarian basis, we're also trying to build that road for them to say, I never thought about it that way. I never thought about combining assets and having a more powerful chamber, a more powerful organization, a more powerful county and region. I always bring up the story of Steve Jobs, and when they interviewed Steve Jobs, they said, what made you build the iPod? And he goes, well, if I'd asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said, I want a better CD player. And I would have never built an iPod. So I think there has to be some leniency to say, yes, we're listening to what our customers and what our members want, but at the same time, we're trying to build an iPod for them. And so in my vision, and I've talked with this group and being part of this group saying, we know regionalization is where chambers are moving. If you look up north to to the Champlain Valley, if you look down south to Berkshire One, A lot of these chambers are starting to realize that they're much more powerful. They can serve a greater need. They can have an array of assets if they combine more regionally than to stick in their own sandbox. So I guess I would challenge actually Bennington, and I would challenge Manchester and every other hamlet along the path to say, even if that's not something that you've thought of before, or you want it to be mine and mine, I think this summit's going to challenge you to say, but think of the possibility of what that would look like if we combine forces and really create a better organization.
All right, so we'll be at that summit meeting, and it should be an interesting discussion and outcome to follow. Also coming up next week, the Manchester Planning Commission is going to be holding the first of 2 meetings this month on redrawing zoning boundaries around the town. First meeting is going to be held Monday, September 12th at 7 p.m. at the Manchester Town Hall. As you know, this is sort of the next step in a process that began last spring with a kickoff meeting, and then the 3 walk and talk tours around town through the various districts. The zoning district boundaries haven't been redrawn since the early 1970s, so this is an effort to kind of look at how the town has changed since then and whether or not new zoning district boundaries may be needed. So again, that meeting is coming up Monday the 12th. The second meeting will be held Monday, September 26th, also at 7 p.m. at the Manchester Town Hall. Also coming up on Thursday, September 22nd, starting at 9:30 in the Peru Town Hall, will be an Act 250 hearing on the Johnny Seesaw's restaurant, which may be converted into a so-called mixed-use commercial residential project. Johnny Seesaw's obviously a landmark restaurant, been around since 1924. This project has already received a local zoning permit from Peru, but the folks involved there are hoping to turn it into something beyond that. As you know, the restaurant has been closed for the past couple of years. And finally, we go back to Arlington, where earlier this week the Select Board met and obviously discussed the rather extensive water project that has been underway there for the past few weeks. Some of you may have seen our segment on that we posted last week, but I guess you never really bake a cake without breaking a few eggs, and in this little clip we're going to watch next, just to kind of leave things on a bit of a humorous note, we're going to watch a story about a broken pipe.
When they were drilling south of the dairy bar, between dairy bar and the Davis property, we had a couple incidents there where they got tangled up with water lines that weren't supposed to be at that spot, but they were, one of those things. And one of them was the service that goes to the house up on the hill, the old brush house that sits way back up on the hill next to the tracks, behind the dairy bar, up in that area. They broke it when they were drilling, and they knew it. They had to shut it off, of course. They had a water leak. The discussion was, this was last Friday afternoon, the discussion was, we broke the water line, yes, it's a service to that house, do we need to fix it tonight? And the answer was, there's been nobody there in over a year, we should be good for a few days. Okay, so they didn't fix it. So you know what happened.
Somebody came that weekend. Moved in
You got it.
Of course.
About
Why wouldn't
11:30
they?
Friday night, somebody pulled
They
in,
came looking for water.
and they were not happy people.
Oh my gosh.
Totally understandable.
So this story at least has a happy ending where even though a broken pipe led to a certain amount of distress, the ratepayer there is going to get a free year of public water. So some things do turn out for the best, even if they don't start off all that well. Anyway, this has been the GNAT TV News Project. I'm Andrew McKeever. Thanks for watching. We'll see you the next time.